To the phone lines now. Scott Rabalais of The Advocate joins us. Scott, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you guys today?
Doing okay. I've told it on the air many times over the last 2 days. I'm feeling a little sad about LSU's basketball program. I've had a lot of fun over the last 5 years, and it feels like that's about to come to a screeching halt whenever this NCAA tournament run is over. You'd imagine sanctions, roster turnover could get real nasty. But I want to get your perspective as someone who's been in this town covering a lot of this stuff for a long time. How surprised were you at the timing of Will Wade's dismissal?
I wasn't surprised at the timing necessarily. A little surprised, I guess. I mean, you never expected. I thought before the tournament even starts, but once they got the notice of allegations, now looking back on it, it seems to make a little more sense. I think LSU is trying to do everything it can to mitigate the penalties, the sanctions that are going to be coming their way, not just for basketball, but for football, by showing that they're as proactive as possible. Once they got the NOA, I think they're doing that. So, in retrospect, it's not that surprising. Like, they've had a long time to percolate over what this could mean, how they were going to react, and a couple of facts. As I wrote last week, Will Wade is not Scott Woodward's guy, and if he need, not that he needed a pretense to get rid of him, but this is like, okay, this is the opportunity. Go ahead and cut your losses as much as you can, and then try to, gain a little favor with the NCAA, which is, I don't think they can say that the school, that the current administration anyway, Woodward and Tate, did a lot of, gave them a lot of grief. Tried to push things off and stuff like that. They waited for the allegations to come out. They're able to act on the contract despite what people like Pat Forty say, stuff like that. You got to give someone a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. Once you got the stuff in hand, then you can move. And they did about as quickly as possible.
There's no question that LSU now, in their response to the NCAA, will try to pin as much of this on Will Wade and Bill Armstrong and whatever goes on at Our Lady of the Lake, as opposed to the institution itself and the athletic program itself. The question is, do you believe the NCAA will buy any of that?
They well might. Yeah, I mean, look, you can say, you can say, Wade and Armstrong. You can say the John Paul Funes situation, the Odell Beckham thing. I still can't believe that is they're making such a big deal about that, because other than some LSU people saying at the time, well, it might have been fake money. Come on, guys. I don't think anybody ever bought that. So aside from that, they didn't know Odell was going to act the fool, in the locker room after the game. They didn't ask him to do that. But I think they've got a chance to like I said, cut their losses here a little bit to try to protect football and the whole athletic department, which I think is the big deal. And then you try to see what you can do for basketball, and you might. The good thing about basketball is, with a recruiting class and a transfer class now or two, you can make a comeback very quickly once you get this stuff behind you.
So with the NCAA noticing LSU, the notice of allegations, what type of hammer do you think is going to be realistic that they're going to lay down on LSU? Do you think postseason ban, scholarships, death penalty? Like, what do you think is really on the table here as far as the NCAA goes?
Yeah, well, they don't do the death penalty anymore. I mean, I don't think any school's gotten the death penalty since SMU in the '80s, so that's not something people need to worry about. They've steered away from that. This is serious. So, like, you might think, oh, this is something everybody does. Well, that's fine, but not everyone gets hit with lack of institutional control, and that is something I don't ever recall LSU getting hit with before, with the Lester Rowe case or some of the other cases that have come up over the years. So that's pretty heavy. I think, probably a postseason ban or two, but this could be a really bad. They could have a really bad record the next couple of years anyway. So, I mean, it's probably not something they're going to get. I'm thinking, NCAA sanctions are so hard to pin down. They're so capricious. It's the old joke. Notre Dame committed violations and East Carolina got put on probation. I mean, it's that kind of thing can happen. But probably a couple of years, a couple of scholarships. the fact that you can't really say. I don't think they're going to say that, or LSU is trying to say that there are no current players on the roster who are involved. Probably helps. So, and I don't think the NCAA is going to want to penalize them going forward. But it's really hard to say, and we have months to go with this. With the LSU response and the NCAA's response and the hearing and then the final sanction. So, but there will be something. There will be some penalties. They're going to be pretty serious. I think people at LSU were probably surprised by the length, the number of allegations against the program, and they're trying to do their best to cut that down. Maybe they'll throw some out. That could always be a case too. LSU may dispute a couple of them, but that's going to be interesting to see if they do. But because the NCAA may react to that one way or another, I'm sure they think this is what we got on you. And if LSU fights something too hard, then maybe they say, no, we still got you. And then the penalties are harsher. So I don't know if you throw yourself on the mercy of the court or not, but there's always a possibility that a couple of things get thrown out.
It's my contention that you look at a 12-man roster and a 5-man signing class, I think it's likely that maybe 2 or 3 stick around for next year. I think this thing will be totally gutted in the era of the transfer portal and getting out of your letter of intent that most of it was all connected to Will Wade. So it's going to be a pretty dire situation here, in my opinion. The question for you, I'm not going to ask you for names that Scott Woodward might hire for a basketball coach. Maybe I'll ask you for some sort of profile. Do you think it's going to have to be some young up-and-comer that will take the job even though he knows the first 2 years might be bumpy? Is it still Woodward, big name, big salary? What do you think is the direction here?
Yeah, I mean, we had a thing in the paper today with some names to mention. Look, that's just, we're kind of, it's a little dartboard throwing, I have to admit. But, there's a few names that are circulating out there. But the problem comes in, as I said, this process still has a long way to run. Just because they got the NOA and they fired Will Wade, this doesn't end anytime soon. And so you want to hire a coach. Look how fast Georgia just moved to hire Mike White, right? And you'd like to hire a coach soon after the NCAA tournament ends. You'd like to hire someone. LSU has done that, several times in men's and women's basketball in recent years. But that coach is going to be like, look, I don't know what my future is going to be. So I think it's going to be really hard to get a big name. I think that might make Woodward do something that is not his MO, which is to go more the young up-and-comer route. But then maybe you go with an interim coach or something like that for a year. You go through one season, it's going to be bad anyway. So maybe you do that. I don't know, who that could be. I mean, y'all can speculate, but maybe you do that and then try to hire someone next year once you figure out where you are and where you are going forward. But that said, Scott Woodward has done an impressive job of putting together contracts that people have a hard time saying no to, and maybe you give someone a 4 years guaranteed or 5 years guaranteed and 7-year contract. Maybe that does the trick. I don't know, but I think it's going to be his toughest sell to date for any of the coaches, any of the big name jobs he's had to fill so far.
No question. Kevin Nickelberry, the interim head coach, as LSU heads up to Milwaukee for their first game coming up on Friday night. They will get Iowa State. What's your anticipation for LSU's performance, effort level, all that in this first weekend of the NCAA tournament?
Yeah, these are two teams that kind of mirrored each other, great starts, and kind of had very bumpy up and down conference schedules. Iowa State, I don't know a lot about them, but I'm just thinking from LSU's perspective. I was just watching them. We were out here for some interviews with softball and gymnastics and at the PMAC, and they came out on the floor, and we were watching the first few minutes of practice, and they seem pretty normal. I think those of us on the outside tend to think about all the distractions and stuff like that. It's a good thing for them to step on the court and to be in practice and to be in film sessions and stuff like that and get away from all this other stuff. And they're leaving town, sometime tomorrow to fly up to Milwaukee. That's going to be a good thing for them too. That said, if they get past Iowa State, Wisconsin likely waiting in the second round in Milwaukee, the middle of you're right in the middle of cheesehead country. So I thought I thought the over/under on them in the SEC tournament was a win and a loss. That's what they did. I think the over/under here is a win and a loss. I think a lot of 11s beat a lot of 6s, but I think they can be focused enough to get that win. And obviously you have a really tough test with the third-seeded Wisconsin team likely facing you in the second round. So that's what I expect. I think expecting this team to get to the second weekend as the 2019 team did in similar circumstances is going to be asking a lot.
A lot of people talking about, with the firing of Coach Wade, it was a savior for the football program. Do you think there's more, sanctions or anything that's going to happen with football going forward? I know that's been a big concern for people in Baton Rouge.
Yeah, it's something that people have to be concerned about. That they've looked so deeply into both programs for so long that there could be something else. And look, you don't need any other kind of. You don't need Odell coming around waving a bunch of cash at people again. You don't need anything crazy like that. Coming out, not saying him necessarily, but something crazy, somebody doing something crazy or stupid. Look, you have a new coach, a new team, new regime in place, and they're trying to move forward and rebuild the program. I think what you see is what you get. I mean, there's always a possibility, I guess, but I mean, I think they took so long to get this. I think it's one of the things that kind of lulled everyone to sleep a little bit, saying, God, are they ever going to do anything? Well, yeah, they finally did. They were doing a lot of work that no one really saw was going on. But I think all this is designed to help mitigate the hit that football has to take. And football's already self-imposed some sanctions and some penalties of the bowl ban from 2 seasons ago and some recruiting things. So all that helps. And we don't know what we don't know, but I think to say that there's a lot more to worry about with football seems unlikely, but you never know with the NCAA. But I think they're moving forward in a way that allows football to prosper. And yes, did they kind of sacrifice Will Wade in a sense for that instead of fighting the whole thing? Yeah, they probably did. But you have to act. You have to think in a business-like fashion, and I think that's what Woodward and Tate had to do here.
Scott Rabalais with The Advocate is our guest. Scott, what was the draw like for Kim Mulkey's team?
Kim Mulkey's team, I think a lot of it hinges on the health of Alexis Morris. One of their guards, and she averages about 16 points a game. That's really big. She looked good. I saw her when we were here for the selection show on Sunday, and she looked pretty good. She had a smile on her face, so I think things are looking pretty good there. With her, they can go pretty far. I mean, they have everything that you want to have, other than really consistent perimeter shooting. They've got 3 guards who can bring it up the court. They can all score a lot of points. They've got post players. They don't have an extreme amount of depth, and don't have a lot of experience doing this. But you have a coach who has been through these things and seen every kind of scenario in her now 20th NCAA tournament appearance. So if she plays, I think they're going to the Sweet 16, and they can possibly go a little farther. And with an upset in their path, who knows? Maybe they can get to the Final Four. I don't think that should be expected. I don't think it'd be fair to heap too many high expectations on them. But it should be a second weekend team if Morris can play like she did during the regular season.
Thanks so much for your time, Scott. We appreciate it.
All right, guys. Take care.
Thanks so much for watching Hunt Hill on YouTube.
Now do us a favor. Hit the red subscribe button below and throw us a like. See you next time.